Playoff wildcard weekend just happened, and whoo, boy, they were unexciting and honestly kind of a mess. I am your host, Dangernation from the Sports Capitalist, and I'm watching myself cast right now from Sports Capitalist, and I am joined by the boys at the Edge DFS, Tyson and Ellie. Gentlemen, how are you doing after this weekend?
Ellie, you should go first. I can see the pain in your eyes.
Yeah, I mean, God damn it, you're a Rams fan, like we've been talking about this year for about a week. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not too upset. We're prepared for this kind of thing in Arizona. It's just usually doesn't end up going our way. Not to get too much into it now, but like they just look flat, and that's kind of what we expect sometimes. Like it's like an Arizona curse, right? Every once in a while, you'll just get this game where it just feels like everybody realizes, like, wait, we're an Arizona team. We're not supposed to do anything, and they just don't look good. So, yeah. So I'm good, obviously. Tyson.
Yeah. I mean, look. I've gotten used to this over the years, so I have a process in dealing with the grief, but I think I'm through it. It's all good. It's all good.
Man, this is starting off really morbid.
Therapy here.
I mean, I put this game last on the list because I'm hoping some pent up rage will come out later.
But we've already started with the downer, so we don't want to.
Good. All right. Well, hey, let's just jump into it. We missed last week, so we're just got some rapid fire topics coming at you then. Mainly, Black Monday happened last weekend. A lot of coaches got fired. David Culley at the Texans, Joe Judge at the Giants. After he didn't get fired on Monday, got a surprise update on Wednesday. No surprise with Matt Nagy at the Bears. No surprise with the Mike Zimmerman at the Vikings. Vic Fangio at the Broncos went out in a blaze of glory by calling his own QB shit, and the rest of them were awesome in his division. And another surprise one, maybe a little controversial, and I'd like to get into this one, is Brian Flores at the Dolphins.
Yeah, I think we're all very surprised, but after hearing some of the reports about some of maybe the behind the scenes culture things, him openly not wanting Tua involved.
Yeah.
I kind of get it. I mean, he's probably a great coach, but maybe it just wasn't a good fit.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit surprised when Brian Flores got fired. I think he was good for at least another year, but I think a lot of people are getting caught up in just the recency bias of his late performance here. They did, have a 7-game lose streak at some point in the season too, and that's not really something you can overlook. They ended up finishing 10-7 or 9-8 or some weird bullshit like that, which is great. But you can't lose 7 games in a row. I think if he didn't do that, he probably does get one more year. But he's gonna get a job. He's a great coach. He's a defensive genius. We saw what he did with the Miami defense. He's going to go get another job. I don't think that's going to be an issue. He'll probably be the top guy to get a job out of this whole group. Other than Vic Fangio.
Yeah, and it kind of seems like the front runner might be the Texans. There's a lot of rumors circulating that Deshaun Watson is still reaching out to him, trying to have him as his coach, going on everywhere. So. And he recently just did an interview with the Texans too. So it seems like the stars are aligned for that to happen. And that was like the main reason why he kind of got fired at the Dolphins too. Like he was really pushing for Deshaun and he really wanted to get rid of Tua, but the management there wanted to keep Tua.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. They just probably mutually kind of split at that point, but he'll get hired quick.
Oh yeah. He's probably the hottest coach on the, market right now. And with those rapid fire topics out of the way, we're just going to jump right into the wildcard games, starting off with a personal favorite of mine since I live here in Texas and I just love seeing this. The 49ers versus the Cowboys. Again, this is one of the most this game was just like kind of disgusting to watch, like on a Cowboys perspective, just like across the board.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ellie, you go
We can
first.
empathize with them. Yeah, thank you. I would love to rant about the Cowboys. First of all, that was that made my weekend a lot softer, a much softer of a blow. But I think our first episode, I had a 72-minute rant about how the Cowboys were overrated. You went 6-0 in your division, right? You played in the NFC East, dude. Like you had no competition. You played quarterbacks like Daniel Jones. Jalen Hurts averages 3.5 attempts per game. He's not even really playing quarterback. And Taylor Heineke for the Washington football team, like, come on, man. Like, yeah, dude's having fun out there playing, but like, that team is the replacements. Like, they're just some random team that you forget is in the league, right? You're like, oh, hey, cool, we're watching a Cowboys opponent this week, So I don't know, man. Like the Cowboys suck, and we saw all of that stuff fall apart there in the game. Like you and Tyson, I think you have a little bit different view of this particular play call than me. But like I vehemently despise the fact that you ran a quarterback draw with 14 seconds left on the clock. I thought if you were maybe up 10, 15 more yards, then doing something like that and scrambling out of bounds might be enough to kind of take some of the pressure off of the wide receivers for a second. Right. But you could have slid earlier.
Yeah.
And you could have even just handed the ball to the ref and probably at least got a spike in, which, again, if you're calling that play, though, you should have a pass play all ready to go. You shouldn't be expecting the spike and then run another play. You should be getting to the line and trying to take your shot. You just burned 10 seconds off the clock from a dumbass run from the 45-yard line. And let's not forget that Dak did just drop a dime to Amari Cooper not long ago in that game to the corner of the end zone. So what are you doing? He's obviously capable of making the throws, and you're calling something that you're one and done essentially. You could have had at least 2 more shots to the end zone, and you didn't. You decided not to do that. And Jimmy G is trying to give the game away.
Yeah, he is.
So I mean, look, they didn't deserve to win. And I wasn't shocked. I was very relieved when that happened. I was kind of joyous.
Look, I didn't think that the play call was a good play call. Don't get me wrong, but they could have executed it way better. I mean, they should have practiced. If they are talking about practicing that play, they should have practiced. Hey, hand the ball to the freaking ref.
Yeah,
like come on, that's like Pop Warner shit. Like we all kind of know that you're supposed to do that. We've seen Larry Fitzgerald do it a million times because he's smart. I don't know, man. There's not a whole lot to say about. You think Mike McCarthy gets fired?
No, I think they give him one more year. Just to backtrack on that, this seemed like in general just kind of just seems super undisciplined. Just a bit of stuff that also happened during this game. 5 sacks, 15 penalties that went up to about 89 yards. Trash got thrown at the refs or the players. Mike McCarthy messed up on a few clutch timeout situations. A Cowboy punter hit the Jumbotron. The giant glare from the sun that caused the Cowboys not to catch a single thing in the third quarter.
That was crazy, man.
I know.
Like how does that get past the architect? Like somebody should say, wait.
Apparently what I heard was they're trying to maximize real estate, and if they built it that way, it was going to be better, something to that effect. But yeah,
I heard it was for photo ops because of how the sun, on that. That was the rumor I was hearing. They probably didn't think it was going to be that big of a factor, but they showed the camera got down to the player's level. And this is what the receivers are looking at. And it's just a giant blur of yellow and red.
Bro, I was watching that shit on Nickelodeon. I thought it was a filter at first.
Dude, can we talk about the Nickelodeon cast? Did you see it too?
Yeah, dude, did you see Debo's post-game interview?
Yeah, it was hilarious and awesome.
Genuinely thrilled to be being interviewed by that kid, man. They were having a good time. That was awesome, man. I don't want to be fans of the Niners, but I saw that and was like, God damn it, Debo, I kind of like you now.
Yeah. I am actually rooting for the Niners. I don't think I would ever say that, but I am.
No, that cast is honestly hilarious, dude. And when when they score touchdowns or anything like that, the CGI slime cannons come out and just blast everyone. Yeah. Dude, it's an honestly good time, dude.
It's brilliant for the NFL doing that. Is brilliant. Like you're getting kids involved. It's fun. We're talking about it. I think it's super smart.
Yeah. And also
the
speaking
one
of
smart thing they've done to network, like the other piece they could do is just fix their fucking app. But
Worst app of all time, by the way. Anybody listening to this who's ever tried to use the NFL app, I think you'll agree with us.
Yeah, and it's also speaking of Deebo Samuel. He was again, no surprise, a stud that game. He did 10 carries at 72 yards, one touchdown, and he caught 3 passes for 38 yards, and just kind of outperformed Eli Mitchell again. Eli Mitchell was the one that was in.
Yeah,
there for
he's
that
good,
game.
Man. We know it. He's good. I can't wait to see him next year. I remember Ellie. Was it last year before he was Deebo that we know him now? He was still a good player, but he was randomly like $200 on a showdown slate last season. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that shit was wild, dude.
And he scored like 2 touchdowns. I don't know. That was crazy. Anyways, I'm getting off topic here. My bad. He's good. He's freaking good.
Yeah. And the last bit of news for this 49ers and Cowboys game going into the Green Bay game. A lot of rumors are flying around that both Jimmy G's shoulder and finger are injured and are going to be most likely out. Nothing has been confirmed. Again, it's rumors, but the spread has been changed to a -6 from a -3. So someone knows something like within that world.
That's a big deal.
No, yeah, legit. So keep an eye on that. Put your ear to the ground. And
so I think that line movement might be a little bit exaggerated. I get that they opened up at 3.5 point favorites, but they've really been closer to 5.5 all year at home. So I think that line might have just been a little generous to the Niners in the first place. And I mean,
it's interesting.
I don't know that I don't know that the Niners have done well this season. Like they're making strides and improvements. But I'm not sure that they're going to be able to beat Green Bay. I'm pretty sure we're ending up with another Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers thing. I just think that they're getting a little love for beating the Niners.
I mean, maybe it's not an advantage. Trey Lance is a little bit more of a dynamic player and maybe a little bit harder to game plan for. Jimmy G is just kind of a solid veteran game manager who's proven he can get you the Super Bowl. But I mean, if Trey Lance does play, I don't see any chance.
No,
rookie quarterback. If he wins, I mean, put him in the Hall of Fame right now. I mean, that'd be incredible.
Yeah, realistically, if we think that Trey Lance is starting that game, that line should be 12.5 points, 13.5 points.
Blowout. Absolutely.
If we stop to think about it, it is the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers just has to be good for one goddamn game. And the team just has to be good for one game. It's going to be 11 degrees or whatever. I don't know. I think that they're overstating it a little bit. I think that the line should be about 5.5 points anyway. If he's actually expected to be out, that's going to be 12.5, 13.5 points.
Starting at -3 is interesting. I don't really understand why it would be, basically a pick 'em.
I read that a lot of analytics say that the 49ers defense is the answer to the Green Bay's offense.
The 49ers still don't have a secondary.
I don't get it either.
And they still don't have a quarterback who is clutch enough to not screw it up for you. I know I just talked about how he's a good game manager, and he can be, but he still screws up quite a bit. We saw in the Cowboys game. He was trying to give that game away.
Yeah, I mean, you can't make mistakes against teams like this. You just can't. The Rams aren't going to be able to. They played pretty well against the Cardinals last night, but there was some stuff that they got to do better. They're going to get beat by Tampa, right? You just can't make mistakes. You can't have penalties. You can't do dumb shit like that. Dallas was still in that game, and we saw that they had 100 yards and penalties, and really some of the did you see that dumbest minute in football history? Have you guys seen that little Twitter video? It's just the fake punt, and then right after the fake punt, they left the special teams unit on the field, and we're trying to run a play, and then they got subbing out the special teams unit for the offense.
Yeah,
and got the delay game.
To force a timeout or something.
Oh, it was was brutal.
Let's not overstate what the Niners did. They beat a team that was doing shit like that in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So if Trey Lance is their quarterback, it's gonna be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
All right.
Tom, I see this note that you posted on the Google thing here. Bill Belichick about him asking about the quarterback draw. That's interesting.
He got asked in I think on he got asked recently about that play, about the QB, the optics of the QB draw, and he was told like pretty much that it takes like 18 seconds to do that kind of play at that yardage, and that he was shocked that the offensive coordinator didn't know that. And
Kellen Moore is
which is pretty
12.
much which is pretty much Bill Belichick saying like, yeah, that guy's a fucking idiot for calling that play.
It's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean that's all I got for the note there. I just saw that in a headline and read the article real quick. But yeah. But moving on, it seems like we're pretty done with this here. Eagles versus Bucks. I don't know. In my opinion, there's not much to say here. It was 15-31, but let's be real, it was pretty much 0-31 the whole game. Game went pretty much expected. It was a blowout. Tom Brady did Tom Brady things.
Yeah, the Eagles. I mean, these teams like the Eagles making it. It's just bad. It's gonna be bad football. Like 1 in a million chance that one of these teams knocks off one of these higher seeds. I don't know, man. Ellie, you were talking about this the other day where you're just like, dude, get rid of this extra team, get rid of the 17 games. Do you think that that's a factor, the biggest factor in this?
Yeah, a little bit, but I also just think that there's just a level of discipline between kind of the top tier teams and the other tier teams. Like, BA and his teams, they're notorious for dumbass penalties, but they can make up for it because they have Tom Brady out there, and apparently he's still one of the greatest of all time. But Aaron Rodgers, same thing. Like he has the ability to cover up for some gaps in discipline that may occur on the field, but we're not seeing that from some of these other quarterbacks. I mean, I hate to bring Kyler as an example, but there's no way that Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers are throwing a pick six on the fucking play, right? And Matt Stafford did the same damn thing, right? Like, and they won one game, the Rams won one game, so Matt Stafford has to prove he's not going to be that quarterback in the playoffs too. So, like, I don't know, man. And however this played out, like I was listening to a couple of analysts talk about it, a couple Cardinals broadcasters, like if we want the Cardinals to win so that they can go play Tampa. We don't want to play in the cold weather in Green Bay. I'm like, dude, you have to play Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, probably both either way. Like, you should just show up and try your best to get it done. Like, and if the Rams are able to pull this off, like that's going to be a big deal going into Green Bay, right? But there's absolutely, there's no reason the Eagles should have been in the playoffs. And they, their one strength was Tampa Bay's number one defense against the run, number 2 defense against the run. Like, that's all that the Eagles are capable of doing, and they just got obliterated. Like, what are you supposed to do when you're down 14 points and all you can do is, halfback counter? Like, I don't know.
I don't know either, but like, I do want to bring up a question. Because if we got teams like the Eagles, and if you remember, there was like a report earlier on this year that they want to expand the league into like 40 teams and like make it a 20-game season. Like, do you? I was about to say, yeah, with 6 more teams. I think I might be messing up that answer. Do you think like the
40 teams? How many teams?
They want to do 40 teams.
Oh my God! So
there's 32 right now, right? Like teams, I can't.
Yeah, 8 more teams.
Yeah. So they want 8 more teams.
Terrible idea.
I was about to say, do you think there's like that much depth and talent where we're just gonna get a dilution of like what the game is?
Well, we've seen it this year. There's been some terrible football. For a moment in the middle of the season, I'm like, is the NFL dead? Like, are we not liking this anymore? Like, for the first time in my life, I think I'm like, man, I don't actually like watching football right now. Like, this is terrible.
If they weren't,
I think that would translate even more so if you were adding more teams.
Yeah, and if you weren't ever going to change the rules for like the COVID testing, and I don't want to get into the politics of all that, I don't give a shit. If you weren't going to change the rules, I think what you could have done in the extended season is done like actual bye weeks after every 4 weeks of play. And if you had a team or game that needed to be postponed because of COVID or whatever, you can just play an extra game during that bye week because you'll have 4 of them throughout the season. Right? I know it's kind of extending the season a lot, but let's be honest, you're not playing a 40 team season games with one bye week. And you're probably not going to be able to do it with two. There's no way the NFLPA is going to allow that. I mean, these guys, like Antonio Brown has CTE from one singular hit, right? Like the continued damage that would have been added over 20 game season, like that dude might actually turn into the Joker at some point. So like there's going to be some changes, and you're going to need to see those gaps. Like you're going to end up having some crazy rules with IR too, right? So like JJ Watt might not play a regular season game again. He may be like a playoff squad roster spot only or whatever. You know what I mean? Over the course of 20 game seasons, like, man, you're going to have some fucked up injuries, man. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. That's actually a good point on how to spread it out if that's what they do plan on doing.
That's interesting. I actually kind of like that. Look,
yeah,
the longer the football season is, the better it is for everybody. So yeah, give them an extra bye week. Who cares? Like spread it out.
Yeah, give them a few more.
Yeah,
preseason's for the young guys to try and get their show right, and it's nice to have one guy step in once in a while and become a game breaker. But I don't want to fucking watch the Denver Broncos play, University of Central Florida because there's nobody active for Miami this weekend. You know what I mean? Like, come on. It's not fun. Like, it's not good for the sport. And those guys are probably going to die. Like, Invincible's a movie, man. Like, you've had, one walk-on guy in the history of the NFL? Like, these are massive human beings. There's a reason why only 3,000 people make it to the NFL out of, 40 years of the draft? All right, I'm getting a little lost here, but like seriously,
no, dude, go for it.
We want better quality, right? You want want a better product, and
100%.
It's not having LeBron James play one-on-one with I don't know who is that. What is Doc from fucking MTV? He used to play street ball. I don't know, the white guy with the baggy.
What have you been drinking today, man?
I don't know, man. Dude, it's a lot of pent-up range about Cliff Kingsbury and
I was about to say, I know, dude. Like each game we gone so far, you've talked about the Cardinals. I'm excited to get to that last game, but yeah. No, I honestly a lot of good takes, and I have to agree with all of them. It's good for the viewers. It's obviously good for the players. If they're still having a 16 week season, but with 4 playoff or 4 bye weeks for each of them. But all right, but moving on to probably the only competitive game that we had this weekend, the Bengals versus Raiders. Burrow looked freaking amazing out there, and funny enough, the big hitters for both teams, Renford, Walker, Mixon, and Chase and Higgins, didn't score at all, with it being over, I think it was 47 points total, which is a decent over-under right there. But
yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd think that this game would have been the worst game of the weekend,
Yeah.
Raiders shouldn't even have been in at the end there, and still
I don't know about that. I think there's another team that shouldn't be in the playoffs.
No, well, what I mean is they should have lost. They should have got blown out. At a certain point in that game, it looked like the Bengals were running away with it. They found a way to come back. And is it Derek Carr? I almost called him David Carr. If you're Derek Carr, why do you throw like a half yard short of the goal line on that last play? I don't know. I wanted to see them score there just because it's entertaining. That was a good game though. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, Joe Burrow is going to be a fun quarterback to watch for a while. We've got a lot of really young talent in the league, and if they can put an offensive line around that guy, there's a good chance we're going to see multiple playoff appearances from that team. I think this game was. I wish I was drunk, and I am home bookie. The one thing that I do want to say about why that game was competitive is I think it goes back to the parity in the sport, right? You have a couple teams that are just by far better than everybody else. And then these other teams, they're still young and they have their struggles, and you can kind of see them all have to work through that. And that's why Oakland was able to hang around in that game, right? Cincinnati kept putting up field goals. That a team like the Packers, even the Rams last night, right? They went for the strike. They got an extra touchdown, right? They're not trying to get field goals to leave a team hanging around. And in the playoffs, you can't do stuff like that. not to ride Tom Brady for another episode, but I mean, he was down 28-3 in a Super Bowl and was able to lead a comeback. You can't be making these bad decisions when you're playing elite teams like this.
Yeah. No, you can't. But you brought up a good point earlier. But one thing I've noticed is that all this young talent is going to the AFC. And do you think right now, and all the young talent in the NFC is actually kind of struggling hard? Do you think there's going to be like an imbalance of maybe like a power struggle now that's happening in the league, where we're just seeing AFC teams just be more dominant than the NFC in the near future?
That's interesting. I never thought about that. Yeah,
dude. Josh Allen's, Mac Jones, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow. Like, these are all relatively new players, QBs, obviously, that have just taken over these teams and leading them to success.
Who do you think? I'm going to go off on a little side note here. Who do you think will have the better career, Burrow or Herbert?
Dude, that's rough.
I think Herbert has more talent, but Burrow's, I don't know, but Burrow is like clutch, man. He's got something going on there.
So is Herbert, though, man. If you watch that Raiders game,
Herbert's clutch too. Don't get me wrong.
I don't know. Like, I think a lot of that game, the Raider Chargers game, was just kind of bad decision making. Because, like, I would love to do this topic in another video. Where do you think analytical shot calling is cheapening or enriching the sport? And I do have some opinions on that, but again, that might take over this podcast. But where was I going with that? I think he needs to reel it in. I think Brian, his head coach, is the right guy, but I think he needs to reel it in a bit more. Needs to make more. I don't know, like that Kansas City game that they played, where, like, again, they were talking about analytics. Where did it not say in the analytics, like, hey, kick the field goal instead of go for it on the fourth down? Because if every fourth down that they were in the red zone, they would have an extra 12 points and would have won that game.
Yeah.
That
was crazy.
Yeah, man. Like, football's the most variable sport out there. Analytics will have a long way to go in football. We'll see what happens with all that, but
you should be able to use analytics. You should have some nerd up in the box who whistles down to you and talks to you on the walkie, but you gotta like feel it out in the situation.
Absolutely.
Don't just blindly analytics says go for it.
Like, this is an 87% play.
I don't want to fucking go for it right now. I feel my team needs to kick a field goal. Like, we have to remember that's probably the most important aspect. You can listen to the numbers, but don't just rely on them 100%.
Yeah, or obviously listen to your quarterback too. Like, hey, coach, I'm feeling this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm going to be doing. Like, screw analytics.
Harbaugh and Lamar.
Yeah,
for it
exactly.
You want to go for it?
Yeah, even though that kind of bit them in the ass.
Well, that one worked.
Yeah, well, that was also a bad pass. Yeah, like Mark Andrews should have had that. And it was a bad pass too.
Bad for Baltimore, man. We're sleeping on them. You know what? That's gonna be my
dude. They're gonna come back with a vengeance next year.
That's gonna be my preseason, Super Bowl bet next year. They're gonna
be serious all the way.
I think so.
Gotcha. All right, on to another blowout game: Bills versus Patriots. I think this was like 47-10 or something like that. Pretty ridiculous. Mac Jones definitely was struggling out there. Just throwing pick after pick a bit, but
dude, that Micah Hyde interception changed the game in my opinion. I mean, what a pick there. I mean, if he's a second late, that's a touchdown, and we might be seeing a little bit of a different game. I know that they blew him out, but there wasn't really a momentum on either side at that point, and that interception just kind of ended that game in my opinion. That was the turning point.
Yeah, the Bills look good, man. I'm not 100% sold on them though. Bill Belichick is a great head coach. He's one of the greatest in the history of the game, but we all know what this Patriots team is. It was surprising, and he's probably going to win Coach of the Year because his team overachieved so much and made it as far as they did, right? So, and he did what he did with the rookie quarterback. So, like, honestly, I don't know if we can say we expected a perfect offensive game from Josh Allen and the Bills, right? That was incredible. And obviously difficult to be done. What did they have? 7 straight or 6 straight touchdowns, and 5 was the record. Like that was the first time it had ever been done. They exceeded it.
Crazy.
So that's crazy. But I mean, they should have beat the socks off the Pats. They are the better team right now.
We saw him.
I don't know.
There was a weather game that time. Like what week was that when they last played? Was that week like 14 or something? I don't remember. But when Mac Jones threw the ball 3 times and they absolutely dominated on the ground. I mean, that.
Oh, right.
Like I know that probably isn't going to happen again, but man, the Bills came out. They were pissed, man. They were like, dude, we're not doing this shit again. Like they absolutely crushed that game. Oh my God. I agree with you though, Ellie. I'm still I don't trust them yet. I don't know. I think
what's causing you guys not to trust them? I mean, like, I mean, I know they kind of somewhat had an up and down season, but like, yeah, the Bills, they've been.
Just pull up their schedule and read the quarterbacks off there for me. That's enough. I mean, you want to talk about a top ranked defense? I mean, you gave up, like, no offense to Damian Harris, but dude, it's not necessarily there yet. You guys gave up like 250 rushing yards to him, and Ramondre Stevenson. Brandon Bolden looked like LaDainian Tomlinson in that Week 14 game or whatever it was. Like, there's a lot of holes, and again, like against elite teams, against elite competition, you have to play perfect. And offensively, they did that, but their defense, I think it absolutely is suspect, and it can absolutely get picked apart. I think Patrick Mahomes against the Buffalo Bills defense is going to be the matchup in the AFC Championship game. That's going to matter the most. I think that's what we're going to see. And if they can step up, if Micah Hyde and that group can hold tight, then I think they'll be fine. And their offense can get them there. But beating the shit out of the Jets, the Texans, and teams like that, I don't think is necessarily preparing you for playoff football.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that.
Buffalo at Kansas City, man, it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. All right. And speaking of the Chiefs, next game we're gonna be talking about here is the Chiefs versus Steelers. Probably one of the most pathetic football experiences I've kind of witnessed. It was just bad to watch, dude. Yeah,
that's usually the case with Steeler games this year. It's been bad,
dude. Like I put on here, man. I'm pretty sure Ben was replaced by a dead horse after the first quarter. TJ Watt was like the only one that came to play that game. The rest of the Steelers got participation trophies. Chiefs literally did whatever the hell they wanted that game. They looked good, but again, they were playing against a team that, quite honestly, looked like they didn't even want to be there.
The Chiefs did whatever the hell they wanted, and they sat Darrell Williams and played Jerick McKinnon. Thank you, Chiefs.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think it was a good game. It was fun to watch Pat Mahomes kind of get in a rhythm. Dude was balling. I think it's easy to get caught up in his wide receivers or in Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and how exciting they are to watch. But Pat Mahomes is one of the most exciting quarterbacks I've ever watched, man. He had incredible stats. What do you have, like 400 yards, 15 touchdowns? Shit was wild.
May as well, man.
Yeah.
If he never played an NFL game after this season, he's a Hall of Famer, right? Still a Hall of Famer.
I think so.
Oh,
yeah.
For sure.
I mean, he's won an MVP, a Super Bowl, and he's been a starter for 3 years. Like, this is his 3rd year starting.
2 Super Bowls already, too.
Yeah, he's been to 2 Super Bowls, or so this would be his 4th year starting. Jesus, COVID.
All right, so what do the
Steelers?
What do the Steelers do next year? Like, they're in the playoffs now. Like, they're not going to get a high pick. Who's a draft expert here? I'm not even aware of like how this quarterback class is.
So apparently it's pretty garbage. There's really only like 2 options, and they're not even like top tier. Really? From the reports I'm seeing is that, because I looked a little bit up before the game, Mike Tomlin does want a mobile quarterback. he says like they bring just like way too much value to the offense and to the game. And he's completely right. Like, it seems like once you get older, that's when a lot of the QBs kind of go into like a more system quarterback kind of thing. But like what we were mentioning earlier, Justin Herbert, Deshaun Watson, Josh Allen, all Patrick Mahomes, like what do they all have in common? You know, they can go off sprinting for like 30 yards in a scramble. Like he's absolutely right.
Russell Wilson, man.
Yeah, Russell Wilson. Yeah, it does sound like Mason Rudolph and I didn't even recognize the other guy's name are going to compete for the job next year.
No,
so yeah,
we've seen Mason Rudolph. We've seen him. We've seen him play when Big Ben's been out. We saw him get smashed in the head with a friggin' helmet. We know what he can do. He's probably a very solid backup. Probably can come in and win you a game here and there. He's not a starter. If they choose to
tie it.
Yeah, if they choose to start him next year, they're tanking, and they're like legitimately they're tanking. They have to be.
What do they need to do to get Gardner Minshew? Is he a free agent? I still think Gardner Minshew would be a great holdover quarterback option for them.
Oh, for sure.
He's a 1 year. I think he's like a Teddy Bridgewater. He's a new Teddy Bridgewater, but probably a little bit better and more exciting.
Yeah. I think if he had like a proper coach, like I think there's some potential there. You might be able to be I mean, what did the Ravens win with Trent Dilfer? Like, I mean, you can win with some random guys.
Dude, just some updates I'm seeing on some of these news reports. It's pretty funny. So apparently that rumor did get back to Jimmy, and he got asked, hey, what's bothering you more, the shoulder or the thumb? And his response was yes. So not a good sign for the 49ers.
Oh,
they
didn't really have a shot anyways, but
yeah, I think they did. I think the defense can hold up. Oh, and we forgot to mention that Bengals won their first playoff game in like 30 years. So hey, congrats to you guys.
That's insane. It's crazy. It's crazy that it's been that long.
Dude,
apparently pretty good teams over the years.
Apparently the person that the team that holds the title now is the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, exactly.
That is so crazy, dude. But all right, moving on to probably our game of the week, and that is going to be Cardinals versus Rams. And as you could tell on the sheet that I gave you guys, I put quite a bit of stats here for the Rams.
Dom, I want to hear just your react. Like, it's okay. Be honest. Are you jumping around like screaming? Are you happy?
Dude, hey man, if this is the type of game, like where the hell has this team been for like the last 8 weeks, man? I thought we looked great. Like even at the expense of it looks like Murray just did not show up today. I guess he was like contemplating his career choice of choosing football over baseball right now.
Must have been.
But like, yeah, we looked great. We definitely took advantage of everything that we had to our disposal, even though we had to switch out a lot of people. I'm ecstatic. I'm excited. I'm confident in us. If this is how Stafford's going to play, go for it. Because like, dude, he only threw 17 passes.
Wow.
Well, and his average is like 38 a game right now. He only threw for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. Cam Akers looks explosive.
Dude, he looks so good.
So much so that he sent Buddha to the hospital with a concussion. Hope you're okay. Again, 17 carries, 55 yards. He had 1 receiving catch for 40 yards. Rams ran 38 run plays. OBJ threw more passing yards than Murray did in the first 3 quarters in 1 pass. Yeah, he did great too. 4 catches, 54 yards, 1 touchdown. Almost got 2. He was like 2 yards away. I was like, come on, man.
Yeah, that was close.
If you guys didn't listen to the video that this came out on Sunday, I said start him as your captain. So happy I was right about that. But Cup with 5 catches, 61 yards, 1 touchdown. Aaron Donald with a stop hate message on the back of his helmet was choking out DJ Humphries. That was a good look. Respect.
Oh, man.
Von Miller got a sack. Weddle, he only played for 19 snaps. he was there for moral support. Yeah,
moral support.
Yeah, but
he's the X factor, dude. Weddle is the X factor. That's why they kicked our ass.
Yeah, dude. They just needed him. He looked great out there, even though he was out there on a wheelchair. Like, coming off of retirement's hard, but yeah. But I don't know, man. Do you guys want to talk about your Cardinals that game, or?
Dude, look, oh man, I don't even like. Ellie, you go first, man. You go first.
So
let's hear it, dude.
I think I'm gonna be a little bit easier on Kyler than I think maybe he deserves, but I don't really know what we expected from Kyler Murray. His head coach did not put him in a position to be successful. There was no attempt to stop Aaron Donald and Von Miller from getting into that backfield. They destroyed our offensive line. We lost the battle of the trenches. What is he supposed to do? And I know he had that one sack where he was barely touched and kind of just went down. But yeah, dude, you have Aaron Donald and Von Miller coming up from behind you. So I probably would have done the same. I actually probably would have just left the fucking stadium. Like, this is bullshit. But, I don't know if that's necessarily on Kyler. Like, give credit to the Rams. The Rams came out and they were ready for this game. They showed up and they showed out, right? They came to play football. The Cardinals were not ready for a football game. That's the coaches to me. I think Cliff deserves a little bit of credit. They had an 11-game season or 11-win season. They would have won 11 games without the 17th game, right? We had those 2 bullshit losses, one to the Seahawks and one to the Lions. So we still would have ended the season probably in an embarrassing fashion. But I think there's a little bit of credit to be given. You guys made it to the playoffs. You guys were able to get a taste of what it looks like. And quite frankly, you got embarrassed. So at the very least, what it tastes like what it feels like to be the worst, to just be a goddamn laughing stock. Like, this is an embarrassment. I would say that like the Steelers put up a fight against the Chiefs than the Cardinals did against the Rams, right? Like, that's coaching to me. That's coaching. And I think Cliff needs to take a look at himself and what he's doing. I think he needs an offensive coordinator. Dude needs to be better at situational football. And I think your team over there is a good example of this, right? Sean McVay, he used to own all of the offense and the play calling and everything. You guys didn't have enough offensive coordinator. You've added that. He has bigger responsibilities. He's the head coach of an NFL football team, right? You can't just focus in on one position, one spot. And honestly, he should have, since week 10, been in Vance Joseph's ear saying, stop the run somehow. But we didn't do that. We made a kid who hasn't played, all season, a rookie, in one of his first career games, look like he never injured his Achilles ever, right? That's bullshit, man. Like, these are professional athletes and they should be able to stop a team. Like, you should be able to play a good game. And then not to spend too much more time on this because I can go for hours, but we drafted 2 middle linebackers, 2 inside linebackers who are supposed to be top talents. We're playing Tanner Vallejo. Dude is a special teams guy. He's a 4th stringer. He's a guy we bump up from the practice squad once in a while. Like, you can't tell me the 2 first-round draft picks aren't going to be able to play linebacker a little bit better than this, right? Like, at some point, you have to do something to try. And I don't think we saw that pretty much in the last 6-7 weeks out of the Cardinals team. So that's why last night wasn't surprising to me when they didn't come out and try. They just don't look like they cared. Like, they just did not seem like they cared. That's culture. That's head coach. It's front office. That's what I think it is. I'll stop. I'll stop there.
Go ahead, Tyson.
Well, I think we should just put things in perspective here. We got to think about the fact that this team was the worst team in the NFL like 3 years ago. Each year they've gotten better. Last year they missed the playoffs. This year they make the playoffs. Next year around this time, if they're in the playoffs and they lose again, that's it. We're all just pissed right now. The reason why we're pissed is because we saw what they could do for the first, 8 games. Absolutely incredible to watch. Like, dominating. We came out and absolutely blasted the Rams at home. The final score wasn't even close.
I know. I was at that game.
Yeah, I mean, the final score was like, oh, that wasn't that bad of a game. No, it was an ass whooping. And we've seen what they can do. And now everyone's like, what the hell happened? How do you go like 1-4 to end your season, or 1-5 or whatever it was? What happened? Well, it's got to be, some bad luck with some injuries. D-Hop goes down, and it's ever since Hopkins goes down, it kind of messes up everything. We don't have a good enough talent. Christian Kirk is a very good third string wide receiver, probably not a number 2, and definitely not a number 1. You have AJ Green at the end of his career. So what Ellie was saying about putting Kyler in this position, I do agree with you. But one thing about Kyler that we're starting to notice is he's just there. Like it looks like he's clocking into work, and his attitude on every play is like, these peasants don't deserve to share the same field as me. Like that's what his demeanor is. Like he's almost like, you guys better fix this because I'm Kyler Murray and I'm good.
I'm not the problem.
And I hate to say that because he's one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the franchise already at this point. And I don't mean to be like, because I remember the quarterbacks that we've had. Like it's not
Kurt Warner, Matt Leinart.
Well, Kurt Warner
was here for a couple of years. Matt
Jake
Leinart,
Plummer.
get the fuck out. So I agree with you. The one thing that pops into my head though is this is how delusional we are. Yes, Zaven Collins fewest snaps. Yeah, I mean that's not surprising. We tend to do that to our top draft picks when it comes to defenders. But when you talk about that with Kyler, like I just want him to have that moment, maybe roles reverse with him and JJ Watt. And it's just like, you want me to play for the team? What team? Right? And I remember the Titans scene where Julius and linebacker getting to know each other after one of the games, and that kind of just starts the whole next 10-minute montage, right? Sports montage. That's what we need in Arizona. We need that moment, like where they just come through and I don't know, man, just get excited to play football. Like, just look like you're enjoying it. But the other thing about Kyler, like, I that annoyed me a little bit. But what the fuck is he supposed to look like? Like, I think I'd be more annoyed if he was just smiling and happy about it. Like he almost looks like he's just being like passive aggressive, more of a diva about it. What like Tom Brady, he's just over there cussing at his people on the sideline. It's like, we got to go do fucking better. So it's just, honestly, I think it's just a different way to see his like anger taken out. Like I think he needs to mature a little bit, but like it sucks, man. I don't know what he is supposed to do.
Why were we not running the ball with him at all? I thought we talked about this on 2 of our shows, I think, or one of our shows. Wouldn't you prioritize, unless they just did a great job shutting it down, but when you prioritize running the ball with him in this particular game, they didn't try it really at all. I mean, I stopped watching in the third quarter, so maybe they did. Who knows? I switched channels over to the Suns game, but did they try to run the ball with him at all? I mean, why would you not prioritize that? Anyways, Dom,
there was like 9 snaps. They got destroyed by Aaron Donald.
Next week.
Oh, against Brady
in Tampa.
Man, well, we played them before. Again, it was week 4. Completely different teams at this point. And I think, Brady and the Bucs had like pretty much like a warm-up game against the Eagles, which are not a tried and true team. Like they pretty much did whatever they want. So I hope that puts them in, this isn't even like real football sense, but like, I hope they're out of practice, from like just that one game, like of like having real competition against them. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be close. It's Bucs at -3 at their own team. So that's pretty much a pick 'em in the sense of, So it's going to be a good game. I am worried about our secondary, but at the same time, they got a beat up receiver core. I'm hoping Lenny is still not back because that is going to be a little scary on our end. I don't know what we're going to do against Gronk. Weddle's supposed to be blitzing on that? No way. I don't know. It's going to be a close game. I was I was going to do a little research on it before this cast, but things came up. Yeah. But let me pass the question back to you guys with your Cardinals. It is now officially off season for you guys. You're upset, and let's just say, hey, like keys to the castle, it's your guys'. What changes are going to have to be made for the Cardinals for their long-term success? We talking about coaching, we talking about staff, we talking about players, we talking about contracts, we talking about culture. What are we doing here?
Go first, Ellie.
Yeah, I think it's simple. You replace Vance Joseph, you shore up that defensive front. Probably need to add another corner, another defensive tackle, shore up the offensive line a little bit, and see what other pieces you can add in free agency. I think you let Cliff and Steve Keim kind of hash it out for another year. Keim's the only one I'm not necessarily 100% sold on. I think if there's a chance you'll lose Adrian Wilson to the Giants or to one of these organizations that he's interviewing for, I think you really consider getting rid of Steve Keim and making him a GM to keep him on the staff. But, I still think you give Cliff and Steve a chance to work through it. You got Kyler for one more year on his rookie deal. You have the option to tag him the next year, right? And maybe keep him around for a fifth year. I know there's going to be some talks about, wideouts. Can't forget about that. I mean, look, again, AJ Green was never supposed to be the guy. He's also pretty removed from a full season, right? There were a lot of issues. I don't think that there's any problem bringing him back on a veteran minimum salary or whatever that would be in the NFL, right? So, like, there's going to be a lot of talent out there in free agency for wide receivers specifically. But no, like Keim, Cliff, they did get better each year. They've got their quarterback, and they did make the playoffs this year. And there needs to be a little bit of credence given to that. We're not the Ravens, right? We don't make the playoffs every year or every other year, and failing to win a Super Bowl in a certain amount of time isn't necessarily our expectations, right? So I think you let the Cliff experiment work another season. You need to add that OC, get some stress off of Cliff, let him focus on the team holistically a little bit. And for the God's sake, just get rid of Vance Joseph, man. Like there's absolutely no reason. Let him dude's gonna end up head coach of the Houston Texans. Like that's gonna be our ultimate fuck you to the Houston Texans after robbing them of Watt and DeAndre Hopkins. I think we send him there, get Vic Fangio or Brian Flores, shore up that defense, and this is a good team. And remember, we played in the NFC West. As much as I hate your team, the Niners and the Seahawks, like the only division that's better is the AFC West.
Yeah,
and it's not close.
More competitive, dude.
Yeah,
I think you just need to take a deep breath here. Like we obviously do need to add some depth. Like Bookie was saying, we need to get some solid wide receivers next to D-Hop. D-Hop comes back next year playing well. Is Connor on a 1 year? He might be on a 1 year. He'll probably get paid somewhere. He's probably gone, I'm assuming. Chandler Jones is probably gone. Like there's a lot of guys.
Yeah, I was just going to bring him up too. I was like,
I kind of disagree with you guys there. Like, I think if there's a reason for everybody to come back, like this might be one of them. Like, fuck that. I can't be the last game that I played in Arizona. Like, we are going to have some issues with Hop and Watt's contract because I think the cap hit goes from like 5 to 15 or 20 mil for each of those guys. But I could see Connor and Ertz easily coming back. CJ, I could see walking. Chandler Jones.
Or it could be like, I got to get the fuck out of here. That was terrible. I can't do this anymore. I gotta leave. Like, it could be a culture thing. I mean, remember the Cardinals used to be the worst franchise in the world. Like they were run so terribly. And, the old man passed away and, Bidwill's, he's done a good job. But
I don't want to cause any drama, but Tyson, I got to ask you, dude, like, after everything that happened, is it possible Larry Fitzgerald just wasn't bought into Cliff's system? That's why he's not playing.
I don't think so.
He played like close to 12 years of football.
I don't really think so.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had terrible coaches. He's had terrible,
Yeah.
absolutely terrible quarterbacks. I don't think that's it. Larry just doesn't. First of all, he doesn't want the fanfare. He doesn't want his Derek Jeter send off. He wants to just ride off into the sunset quietly and travel and be with his family. Like that's just the kind of guy he is, which is sad for the fans. Thankfully, I was at the last game in the Coliseum last year when the Rams beat the Cardinals to knock us out of the playoffs. But that was his last game, and I figured it probably would have been. I don't think that's why, dude. I don't think that's why. At least I hope not.
Guys, I have some I have some breaking news here.
Oh.
The owner of the Jaguars, how do you say his name? Garoppolo, stated from his sources that previous Bill O'Brien, coach of the Texans, head coach, is not a considerable good choice, most likely for our team.
Yeah, I would hope so.
He's learning.
My God.
Oh my God, dude.
If it was Cliff, he would have joined Arians, Buddy Brady.
Yeah, I don't know. My argument against all that is like he is just such a gracious guy that I think that him kind of riding off into the sunset and pulling an Irish goodbye is like the easiest way to not cause a big deal and make more drama for the team, because you know he wouldn't do that.
He's a Phoenix legend. He's part owner of the Suns now.
Yeah,
maybe he's just done. He's got other things going on in his life.
Yeah, but
so right. we're okay.
Okay, man.
Don't send us flowers. Don't send us cards. We'll be all right. Just give us another day or two, and we'll be right back on it.
Right on, dude. Well, I appreciate it. And hey, best of luck to me then. Going against Brady. Best of luck to you guys in the offseason. Yeah.
I think the Rams can do it.
Like, I think they can too.
They can challenge him. It's going to be tough. The one thing that we're forgetting is they're pretty injured. Like, there's a lot of injuries going on with the Bucs. You know, they've got dudes receiving the ball from Brady who didn't play football until this year. Like that Grayson dude catching football. So I think I would always lean towards Brady, but it wouldn't shock me if the Rams went in there and pulled one out. It really wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, if
I didn't really get into this. I didn't really get into this with the Cardinals because I was doing my coach rant, but the Rams don't have anybody in their secondary either. Like the fact that Eric Weddle had to play, I think it's like a G League versus G League for the wide receivers versus the Rams secondary next week. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, well, here's hoping to me that they go through, because I know every offseason, which just like, all right, hey, like 3 of our coaches just became head coaches at other teams. So
yeah,
offseason's not that fun for a Rams fan, just seeing our coaching staff just leave every year.
Yeah.
Going to bigger, better things. But guys, hey, it was fun going over the game this week. We'll be here next week as well, just to see how the rest of the games do and see how everyone stacks up. But guys, any closing thoughts before we get ourselves out of here?
I wish I had some like funeral, or memorial service music,
like bells tolling,
like, queued up, because that's probably our listeners are probably, they just hear the sadness in our voice at this point and like, what the hell is
it was a gloomy episode for sure, man.
Join us next week.
I gotta go box up my Cardinals shit after this. I gotta go back to being a closeted Cardinals fan until they win a game convincingly.
All I gotta say is I wish I was born a Patriots fan, man.
Bro, anything else.
But it is what it is. It is what it is. I'll see you again next year. We'll be hyping them up next year.
For sure, man. All right, guys, that's us signing off. We'll see you guys next week. Good luck, everybody.
Thanks, guys. We will see you later.